they actually are better when they play pressure early on. They remind me a lot of C-Deck, so...
they need the EHOME. I don't think they ever pass up, I guess, Queen of Pain. I've seen them play 11 Tusk so many times.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm actually shocked it's not banned.
I was yeah.
At Nunyan, they were owning with it so hard it just got banned every game.
I'm more surprised that they picked Queen over the Tusk.
Yeah, that's shocking.
But this is kind of nice for them because I think when CTY plays the heavy farmers, the team often takes bad fights, whereas if he's a safe lane Queen or Lina, he actually joins the fights a lot more and they have a lot more success.
We've managed to get through 3 days, by the way, where Tusk has been picked or banned in every game.
He's still like that?
3 days.
I don't think that's going to change. To be fair, Ben, they are not getting Tusk, but they're getting the CTY Quap, which is absolutely ridiculous. So
yeah,
I think that's still not bad for them by any stretch. I also want to point out real quickly that they were having CTY draft in the group stage, but it's back to Lanham now, so...
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Didn't they change halfway through?
Yeah, I think they did.
Last
as well.
best of 3, they had
CTY is probably tired of playing Quap every game. He's like, I'm going to draft myself something different. Then you play like Juggernaut and Spectre, and then Lanham's like, no, we're done with this. Get back on your Quap. You will play Quap and you won't like it.
I kind of like opening Quap though, just because it protects your draft in a lot of different ways, and it also limits your opponent's mid heroes somewhat. Like, obviously an early Tusk can give you a lot of early roaming, and that's very valuable, but I still feel like super late game Tusk can be wishy-washy. Like, even in the last game that we just saw, Tusk didn't do that much to save the chain stun gyrocopter. He can only protect somebody for a second or 2, up to 3 seconds, and that's not always what you need from a support. So it really lacks in defensive capabilities, I feel, and I don't know if they want to go all in on that when their opponents could get Quappin instead. Because then you have a Tusk versus a Quappin, you're not really doing much to stop her.
So you go pretty standard here, getting the Wyvern. This is a great way to interrupt the Requiem, which is a huge part of any Shadow Fiend lineup's team fight. Also gives you some BKB Pierce. And if Tusk snowballs in and you don't catch the Wyvern, he can completely turn the fight. So I think it's a pretty good matchup. Good against physical damage, though they do have quite a bit of nuke. And to the point that you made with the Quap, it doesn't really lock them into any strategy just yet. So pretty open here, even through phase 1.
I still like the Tusk more for them, though, early. We've seen 11 play a fair amount of different heroes, but I think Tusk is by far his best one. Whereas CTY, you can sometimes interchange the Queen of Pain with Alina, and he performs equally well. I remember one game with the Nyx Assassin, he was 0 and 14 in a game versus CDEC, and it was just like, he just could never get the ball rolling on that, and Tusk is just his most comfortable hero.
Well, I guess they've changed up the strategy, because in the past they would just go right for the Tusk. So going into phase 2 now, Newbee.Young will ban out the Anti-Mage. To me, an interesting ban, because for the most part, when this team has gone for hard carries, EHOME has not had a whole lot of success. They've lost games with Spectre, Doom, Juggernaut, Shadow Fiend, Slark. Granted, they haven't been performing all that great lately. Another Juggernaut, Gyrocopter loss. Like, generally, to me, where they excel is when they're just fighting a lot early.
I think they just want to make EHOME fight early.
Yeah.
Especially with the sort of draft opener that they had. They don't want to have that sort of, EGS game with the Queen of Pain and the Queen of Pain running around getting kills while Anti-Mage gets a lot of farm.
Yeah, and in bo1, you don't want to get anti-maged. It's just it's a pretty ugly way to go out. Speaking of those types of heroes, there's a Huskar and a Broodmother still out there.
Yeah, they do pick Husk sometimes. They also tried a Slardar in their last match against Cloud9 that they lost, so I feel like it's still... Ooh.
Oh, hello.
I feel like it's still a hero worth picking in a lot of cases.
Okay, the last track we saw them once.
Yeah.
Play this in the group stage. It was a dual lane off lane Leshrac with the Undying, and it was actually very successful because they were able to get a decent amount of farm up on him, equal farm priority with the Undying, and then use the Edict to push down towers very, very early. But in that particular game, it was picked versus a Templar Assassin.
Oh, this is a great clock game. At least until the SF gets a BKB, the Lesh and the SF will have a very rough time.
Wow, we haven't seen too many Sand Kings.
What happened to Sand King?
It's melee, I guess.
He does take a bit longer to come online. Generally, you want to be AFK in the jungle, and a lot of teams are picking those cores that want to use the stacks.
It's the first pick of the major for Sand King. Only the second for Leshrac, and the last time was the same team.
I mean, I kind of like it for a setup. It's one good thing. You can invest into a setup, but not have to be fully invested in being there. Jump in, burrow strike towards your team, and then Lesh can follow up, chain stun basically with a double raise. And EHOME's lineup is, yeah, they're mobile heroes, but if you get the jump on them first, they could definitely get blown up very rapidly. Plus Winter Wyvern, you know, stops physical damage, Sand King is all magic. You might be able to burst through that in the early game.
Their team fight is ridiculous right now. If Newbee.Young get their items, that's you do not want to fight into that without BKBs or a really good initiation.
And you could even do Sand King Tusk as your dual support, and you don't have to rely on him getting the Sand King getting boots or him getting a Blink Dagger, because you can just snowball into Ice Shards, attack 3 times, then you burrow strike. That's a kill on a lot of heroes in the early game.
I like the instant stuns coming out from Sand King. I think that's something that we haven't seen enough, is just the instant stuns. People have been relying on less reliable ones like Tusk Snowball, let's say, and versus a hero like Queen, you just want to be able to blow her up immediately once she's, you know, out of position for half a second.
So does that mean they ban out I was going to say maybe ban out something like a Dazzle. I guess they can, because Bounty Wyvern, they're already committed to 2 sports, so. I do like the heavy magic damage this time. They'll be countered by BKBs, but EHOME's lineup isn't that tanky anyways as it is, so I feel like even with BKBs, the Shadow Fiend will just right-click people and be happy about it, so I really like the Newbee.Young draft right here.
Yeah, so they banned out the AM previously, not wanting to get split pushed to death. They want to fight head-on 5v5 in the mid-game, and they banned the Gyro, probably the best carry to counter that style if you're forced into those engagements. So curious to see what the hard carry for EHOME is going to be.
They need something that has a lot of physical damage, because Shadow Fiend and Lesh, that's the best way to counter them. They generally buy a lot of HP and sometimes a BKB.
Yeah, but who's available at this point? TA's banned, Shadow Fiend's taken, those are 2 of the big ones. Jug's also banned.
Yeah, TA.
Slardar, Razor, Viper, Lina.
They're dire as well, so but they don't really have much Roche taking potential. They can't take towers very quickly. Like EHOME's draft needs to fill a lot of holes with this last pick.
They don't have ranged disables as well. They definitely are in a bit of a weird place. Maybe they could do something like Bristleback, I think would be alright. Pretty high HP. Yeah, you could run them down. Plus you have track, so a melee core wouldn't be that bad.
Maybe Dragon Knight, that's something they have run a bit. They could run the safe lane Quap, which they have done occasionally for CTY.
I feel like it would be stunned too much and punished that way.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of magic damage. We've seen DK pop up a lot versus Slardar, but aside from that, I don't think he's particularly good this game.
Yeah, he also does not lane well against Shadow Fiend.
It's definitely a weird pick here for EHOME. The Bounty Hunter will give them an advantage in the mid lane, but if Newbee.Young gets some tank on Leshrac and they get a blink on Sand King, it's going to be a little hard for them to fight. So off lane Tusk most likely, support Bane Sand King.
I really like this Newbee.Young draft. A lot of heroes that can fight early, good disable, good physical damage, lots of AoE, they can push, they can take objectives. It's a very well-rounded draft.
LD, if you want to jump ship, I'll let you do it now. You can join my side. Do you wanna change your?
Can I see the last pick first?
No,
it's now or never.
We have no time as soon as the pick
I think
comes
even
up.
at this point, I'm sort of already going.
All right, Purge.
You or die.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Remaining.
Now use your line. Yellow, everybody.
I guess. Go ahead.
Can you do it for everyone?
No.
The people.
Oh, come on.
YouTube video special. How do you think?
Viper is the last pick for EHOME, and we are headed into the A, which means we'll go and join our commentary team for the final time tonight. It's Blitz and Capitalist.
Thank you, Paul. That's right. We're burning the midnight oil here. Blitz and I, we're getting into our last game of the night. Newbee.Young versus EHOME. Blitz, we're starting things off here with Newbee running this heavy team fight lineup, including 2 different heroes we don't see a whole lot, Sand King and Leshrac.
Yeah, Leshrac, especially since he got nerfed, he's kind of fallen out of favor in a big way, but I mean, it's going to be their carry player's choice. This is a hero that we didn't see him get to play in the group stage, but doesn't seem to matter too much as it's going to be the hero they select. And for me, the Sand King pick is a lot more interesting because on paper, Sand King sounds like such a good hero. You've got a counter initiation ability, you've got an escape. The invis is actually quite annoying because you don't want to just constantly have to buy dust for a 4 support. But the hero just kind of feels a little bit underwhelming when it comes to the fact that people have BKBs, the build up to the Blink Dagger is a little bit too slow, and your stun, it doesn't go through BKB, so it's not like a Bat Rider where you're jungling for something that can really impact the late game.
It can be potentially really susceptible to this clockwork if he does pick up an early blade mail. But what about the bounty hunter? EHOME picking that one up. They've had a pretty rough group stage, and it seems like they're going to follow some of the success of both LGD and CDC, who both ran this hero to, I believe 3 different wins in the group stage.
I really feel like this hero is a little bit unstable just because if the early fights happen well and you've got track in an early time, yes, you can just kind of snowball off to a win. But a lot of times what will happen is teams got so familiar playing against this hero that they were just willing to go for the 5-man off the bat. They have sentries prepared for mid, they're prepared for the courier snipe, and you can limit a lot of his offensive potential by just making it so that you've got a hero that doesn't contribute anything to a fight outside the track.
Kaka already going for a bit of harassment here on SC. As Old Chicken hoping to be able to follow that up, but we are going to be seeing pretty heavy dual lanes, it seems. Meanwhile, in the top lane, they start going for Lee here, throwing down double counter wards. It will immediately have one of them eaten away. Good setup there from the Sand King, and Lanham unable to get the counter onto the other sentries. So that's going to leave our Sand King at quite the advantage, at least for now anyway. We'll see if Lanham is actually able to pull any more early counter wards to himself.
Yeah, and so far when it comes to CS, nobody really pulling too far ahead of the pack. The Viper is at 4-1, but this is something we expect when he's playing against a Shadow Fiend mid. And it doesn't quite matter because SC can just eventually go back to the jungle. And he should be able to capture the Viper just fine. Because Viper is a hero that is heavily dependent on winning your lane. Because you're not going to catch up by farming up any jungle stacks, you have no flash farm mechanic. So it's really important that you get off to this early start.
11. It seems like his early cog blocking has got himself into a pretty favorable position when it comes to getting a good amount of experience. Unfortunately, not too many denies. He sees one of them denied before his very eyes. Meanwhile, the bounty hunter actually rotating in does find Lee as the Sand King here. Of course, with CTY jumping in, they will be able to have the dust. It looks like, nice burrow strike over into the neutrals. Maybe he can get himself denied somehow. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. First blood goes to CTY.
Maybe the worst player that you could give up a first blood to, CTY. Definitely one of the stars of EHOME, if not the star. And on the flip side of things, we've got SC, who I felt like was just such a good player in this series against Team Secret. His Queen of Pain almost single-handedly kept them in the game.
Oh yeah, it was the SC show through and through. That guy made so many big plays.
Yeah, and he's having a decent start so far in CS, keeping up with the Viper so far, doing an okay job, but for me, a lot of it's just going to come down to whether or not they can shut down this mobile core played by CTY. This Queen of Pain is going to be quite disruptive for them.
Multiple denies. SC doing a pretty decent job CSing against Old Chicken despite the bounty hunter harassment. They're going to come in for a little bit more. See how much commitment, even throwing out the taunt there. Meanwhile, bottom lane, 11 actually gets a pretty good cogs push against the Leshrac. They will be able to block him in, easily landing the stun. It looks like our clockwork is definitely going down here as Newbee.Young pull up their first kill of the board.
Yeah, and that's a pretty surprising kill just because the clockwork was in a pretty good position to kind of just trade CS out, and pretty interesting that he decided to go for the 2 levels of battery assault. Usually this signifies that you feel comfortable that you might have solo kill potential instead of just going for the stable, max out your rocket flare, be able to help out your team and just passively CS.
Well, maybe with the help of the bounty hunter, they certainly can get this kill. They're going to run down now Jaja here with the battery assault, easily locking him in with the cogs, and he can't even get off that stun. The animation just too long against that battery assault.
As soon as we talk about the build, immediately we see why. As Kaka with the rotation, that 1 level of Janata against heroes like the Leshrac, who barely have HP to support themselves, is so strong, Cap.
I would love to see him rotate up to the top lane again and use that extra dust that he has against the Sand King. He is going to try and take some of these neutrals via Sandstorm, knowing Lanham still does not have any extra counter vision for the laning phase, as he chose to go for the boots instead.
What I'd really like to see from Kaka right now is actually for him to go to the neutral stack and just soak up XP. Maybe even wait for SC to get kind of low. Because you know that the Shadow Fiend, once he hits that level 5, level 7, he's going to have level 3, level 4 of the Raise, and this is where you want to play that passive farming game and force the Viper to kind of make rotations that are really inefficient.
Oh, nice steal there from MR. He's going to wake up Lanham in the process, but does manage to get that haste rune. Preventing what could have been another early kill for EHOME. They've been able to rotate in and catch out the SF.
Yeah, now the Bounty Hunter is making his way around. He's going to be able to spot the stacks. There should be actually no surprise whatsoever. But the important part is maybe he's able to soak up some of this experience.
He may even have enough to be able to get an early kill if SC tanks too much damage from this stack, but we'll see what happens. Bounty Hunter actually throwing out a dust there, probably incidentally, and actually meant to throw down the ward instead. Lanham is going to be caught in the process, though, of trying to go through the enemy jungle. He'll be caught by both the Leshrac as well as the Tusk. It's going to be SC who takes the last hit, though, upping himself to full souls.
Yeah, Kaka's planted down the ward, so he definitely knows where SC is. He's gonna make...
sinking! Oh, just gets wiped out there by the Sonic Wave. CTY finds himself yet another kill before that 6-minute mark.
Fantastic solo kill that he was able to set up by himself, independent of his team, and he's already at 36 CS cap. This is well ahead of anybody else in the game.
Kaka, are you going to be able to pull this off? He goes for the pick off of the courier, and this one has the bottle. Oh no, that's going to be down for SC for quite some time if they actually manage to interrupt his stacks to the neutrals here as well. They're going to be in such a good position to shut down this SF.
That was the most patient thing I've ever seen. Kaka waits that entire time, eventually snipes the courier, gets the ward down, and he might even be able to steal some of this stack if the Shadow Fiend's not careful.
Look towards bottom lane as well. 11 is about to pick up his level 6 and may have, once again, kill power.
I look at the concentration right now. They're all in this jungle.
The hookshot lands at the bottom lane. They're going to be able to catch the Leshrac. He's trying to battle underneath the tower, but it's not going to work out. The ultimate isn't enough. That said, MR, he gets him with the Nightmare, the Brain Sap, and a couple right clicks. Can he get the last one? The Hell Push is going to go up back over to middle lane. They do have the Burrow Strike on the Kaka. Looks like they will be able to get at least the kill of the Clockwork, but it's going to be serious cost as they're going to lose the Sand King as well as the Tusk in that situation. And they take over the stack as well. CTY, he has more than enough with the help of the Splinter Blast to take some of this. Let's see if SC can get the last little bit with a couple of raises.
That was more than enough, and he's got to be careful because Old Chicken here.
He starts battling it out with Old Chicken, but there's too many heroes from EHOME. They immediately swarm in, take over the SF kill, and will go back. But Leshrac, he's going to be able to get the Viper kill. Old 11, he's going to be stuck in this situation as well. Leshrac picks up both, and CTY says, well, you created space, boys. Not for any kills. I just got neutrals.
That was all of the jungle stack taken, and this was what was going to make their Sand King pretty happy. This was going to be his comeback mechanic, but now he's only level 4. There's almost no stacks for him to go to. There's one in the jungle, but that's barely anything, and his game is pretty much really hampered.
They're about to pick up yet another kill. Tusk, you're not making out of this one, my friend, with a snowball. It's just delaying the inevitable as CTY dominating. The 6-minute king is here.
I know you're going to look at CTY score, a lot of people, and say, okay, he had the most impact in this game. But for me personally, it's all been Kaka. The fact that he was able to get that ward down, he snipes the courier, gives them vision during the time, wastes the dust, and motions for his team to rotate over. That's about as perfect as you can get. Like, he was able to get 4 heroes over. They were able to get so many kills and steal the entire stack. How can you get that greedy and get away with it?
Look at the poor SF farming. He's sitting at 3K right now. Viper is still ahead of him, and no, hookshot actually misses out there, unfortunately. 11. Prime opportunity to keep the SF down even further, but misses his shot.
Yeah, and the butterfly effect from this too is that Old 11 has been able to get so much farm out of this offlane because they had to force so many rotations into their own jungle. He was able to solo kill the Leshrac, and he almost has a fully completed blade mail in a lane that he was actually killed in.
5 to 8, and things are looking very good for EHOME right now. I know we were talking about it
mid.
beforehand. Oh no, they're going to be able to pick up killing the SF. Lanham, he gives up his life to the SF. Meanwhile, in the top lane, they're trying to push into this tier 1 tower. CTY shows himself. He's got to be careful, though. With the chainstone offered from the Tusk, Sand King, as well as the Leshrac, they could easily burst down this Queen of Pain, no matter how farmed she is.
Without a blink, though, this is going to be so hard for them to actually get the jump. And they've got to be careful because CTY...
Oh, looks like they really wanted to catch out MR as he was actually in the enemy jungle, but at the same time, Old Chicken TP'd up to the top lane, so perhaps a little bit of missed TPs there. Now Old Chicken is left alone. They're going to bring some extra support from the Winter Wyvern, and that should be enough. Well, maybe not. SC is going to bring himself to the top lane as well. I'm going to try and overpower this tier 1 tower.
You've got to get out if you're Newbee.Young. I don't think you can take this fight at this point. And if the Queen of Pain rotates over and you lose this fight trying to take that tier 1 tower down, it's so hard to recover because you don't have any stacks. I don't want to say it's all inish because it's a little bit too soon, but...
Well, they'll take a free pick off of the Bounty Hunter, that's for sure. Cat Award set up, does find that one. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, looks like Clockwork was able to Hit that hook shot, does catch the Bane. Back up to top lane, the snowball initiation. Old Chicken tries to get out his ultimate, but he just gets stunned out. Bursting down before he could do anything. That tier 1 tower will also fall. And Newbee.Young striking back with a bit of force after that dominant Queen of Pain showing.
And EHOME just completely abandoned the Viper up there. And if they weren't planning on fighting, I feel like there should have been a little bit more communication once they lost their bounty hunter, to just simply say, okay guys, we're not gonna actually do anything. We're gonna try to get this Bane kill. You guys should get out right now. And less of an individual mistake and probably more of just miscommunication within the team.
And this is exactly what we saw from them in the group stage. It seemed like that was the primary reason they lost so many of the group stage matches so poorly, is that it was just miscommunication, the team not being on the same page. And it's perhaps something that we may see more of as this match progresses. Old Levin is going to be running into the Tusk, won't be able to get out of this one, and they still have the Ice Shards to make sure he doesn't get out. He's going to turn and try and fight Ellie as much as possible with the extra bit of battery assault, and Old Chicken hitting over that cliff. They will be able to pick up that kill. Nice fake out there from Chicken.
Old 11
forcing
bought
out the
that.
Sandstorm. Why did he do that? He doesn't even have, well, he does have a TP, but he's not TPing out immediately.
That had to have been a misclick.
They've got the track on him, CTY. Thinking about going forward, but if he does, he may be hit by the Sand King, who does have the epicenter ready to go.
Another
Rocket not seeing CTY, feeling pretty confident, but now the Sand King shows himself, reveals, doesn't quite hit that Burrow Strike onto the Bounty Hunter, and now it's CTY's turn to respond. Old Chicken moves forward, SC pops the ultimate, does turn things around, good Winter Wyvern as he gets the Cold Embrace, but it's not enough, too much magic damage. Now CTY coming in with the double damage, fights up against Leshrac, does get that kill. SC barely survived the shuriken, but it's CTY, he's just going to be able to clean house here. His Old 11 moves forward, gets him with the cogs, and MR is going to be the last one to fall as Newbee.Young take the fight underneath their tier 1 tower. And EHOME gladly respond with a team wipe.
It wasn't the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but there were just a little bit too much individual errors from Newbee.Young as the Sand King went for the stun. He knew that the Bounty Hunter was there, but he barely misses. You commit the stun at that point. The Shadow Fiend is separated from the rest of his team. And most importantly, the Winter Wyvern actually just hit level 6 in that fight. And I think Newbee.Young were banking on the fact that he was still level 5. So they grouped up around the tower. They get hit by the Winter's Curse. Everything turns around. EHOME in complete control now, and that had to have been a significant amount of tracks too.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, let's not forget about that track hold that's going to be racking in for EHOME. They have the blade mail complete, I believe, plus the Orchid is going to be coming in for CTY here any moment as well.
Yeah, and the clock buyback in a roundabout way, I guess, paid off, but I have to imagine that was more just of a misclick, and things like that happen.
Nice snipe there from Levin. Taking one of the few creeps that SC still has left in his jungle, and his mech has just been utterly delayed. It's 13 minutes in. You're normally looking at SFs who have completed the mech by now, thanks to all the stacks, especially on Radiant side. But as you said earlier, EHOME doing such a great job contesting via that Bounty Hunter.
You've got the Orchid completed on the Queen of Pain, and this is going to just prompt the Sand King to continue to farm, because the only way that they can really open up on our cap is if he can get the Blink Dagger. The Tusk Snowball is a little bit too slow. Unless you're able to get the Bane Sleep off, you probably can't catch up in time.
Now, where do you want to see this Viper go on? Normally, we might have seen a mech, but because this game is going so well for EHOME, clearly it's going to go the way of the Bounty Hunter, who's already got Arcane Boots, and will actually have the mech completed already 13.5 minutes in. Is this, I've seen a couple SNYs on Vipers when they don't have to go mech, just kind of statting up. What are your thoughts?
On a side note, that's such a fast mech.
Oh, it is.
The fact that you just casually point out, like, oh yeah, he's got the mech before the Viper does. But I think if you're the Viper, you just continue to stat up, like you said. You can opt to go for the drums, the SNY.
Is Aghanims still viable? And we just never see that on Viper anymore.
I just think that there are better items to continue to scale.
Okay.
Like the Viper Strike 12-second cooldown is okay, but I do think that this hero should continue to be a right clicker if you can. He's pretty underrated in that aspect.
Newbee.Young trying to find any farm they can. The Sand King, obviously, his timing on the Blink Dagger is going to be crucial here. Newbee probably don't want to be going into any fights until they have that complete.
Yeah, and Kaka, he's just holding serve in mid, making sure that nothing happens right now. And that top tower is really quite beefy. It's almost full HP. I don't think this is necessarily the way that EHOME want to take this fight, unless they feel confident enough to just hook in. They even popped the dust, thinking that the Bounty Hunter's there, but he's long gone.
EHOME, especially with CTY in the bottom lane, I really don't think they're going to be... Well, maybe they will.
He's blinking up.
All right, CTY is going to start making his way up to the top lane. Meanwhile, EHOME are okay with this 4-man aggression. Probably feeling pretty comfortable with the early mech on the Bounty Hunter. Maybe that's why they feel so good about a potential 4-man situation.
Yeah, but the tower's at such a high HP that what ends up happening is the SF can just continuously spam raises, kill your creep wave, and then at that point what it does is it forces EHOME into a situation where you're not even going for the tower at that point, you're just going to go for the kills.
Yeah.
And you've got to be so careful because you're fighting really deep into the base, like past the tier 1, in between the tier 2.
Yeah, that's going to be perfect opportunity. Well, hold on. This is going to be a good opportunity to catch SC. Getting the battery cell, trying to prevent that ultimate. SF pops a mech, but he just seems completely wasted. There goes the Sonic Wave. Still, though, the Electric has come in. Winter's Curse getting laid down. He immediately gets focused, gets a decent amount of damage, but it just doesn't seem to be enough for Newbee.Young. They might be able to get Old Chicken underneath that tower. Looks like that will be the ramp.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And EHOME are dominating this match against Newbee.Young.
I thought all the cards were going to finally align for Newbee.Young, but that initiation from the Clockwork completely catching the SF unawares. He pops the Blade Mail, makes it so that he can't get the retaliation ultimate off. Just really well played by EHOME, taking complete control of that fight. And CTY, talk about a hero or a player that can snowball. Gets to the Rampage at the 16-minute mark.
10,000 net worth at 16 minutes.
To give you some perspective, that's almost, if you add up the Leshrac and the Clockwork, you still don't get CTY's net worth.
He's got 3K on him already. Look towards the Aghanims about this point in time, just kind of stat up a little bit freely using your ultimate now. Or is there something else you would rather see, like just straight BKB against all this magic damage?
I think if you're greedy, you'll decide to go for the Aghanim Scepter, but I don't actually think they lack in damage whatsoever, especially with that early Blade Mail. I think most of it is just going to be, you don't want to feed that Godlike Spree to a hero like the Shadow Fiend.
True.
So you probably just go, but...
Yeah, this is a free catch. Leshrac, they get the kill on the Queen of Pain. That's Godlike Spree going to the Leshrac, 900 extra gold.
All right.
That's a recovery.
Stone.
Yeah.
That was the most convenient thing I've ever seen. He just kind of blinked up and he's like, I'm dead. He just started buying the BKB, you knew. As soon as he blinked up, he was like, yeah. We had no... That was a little greedy. We all make those plays though, Cap.
Well, you make too many of those plays, and Newbee.Young might be able to take advantage, grab some objectives, and we're still looking towards Roshan as one of those big-time teamfight objectives to be gained. The Tier 1 tower should probably be falling here. EHOME, unlikely to fight without CTY. Then again, they do have the glyph.
Yeah, they might just actually initiate with the Clockwork. And as the Queen of Pain TP's in, you get a free initiation and...
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's why
Denied the tower, that's why Newbee.Young's got to back out. They knew, it was just not enough time.
Yeah, that's so scary at that position, because you kind of did a lot to come back, actually. Like, the Leshrac was at 5k net worth at one point, and after he kills that Queen of Pain, he's jumped to 3rd in the game. That's actually ridiculous. So you've got to be careful if you're Newbee.Young, because with that Godlike kill, it kind of gives them back a little bit of leeway. The Shadow Fiend gonna get the BKB.
He's making a decent recovery. 8k. Of course, CTY still well ahead. Old Chicken actually did go for the drums, has another 1,300 gold now. Regan regen still left over from what was going to be Insmac, most likely.
Yeah, the Clockwork just rocketing up, trying to clear out, find out who's up there as well. If the rocket passes through, that might have seen Lee actually is Jia's just going to continue to go for the push.
Neither one of these teams are great at taking Roshan, but EHOME do have the early net worth advantage on the Bounty Hunter that has allowed him to pick up the medallion. And it seems like they will be able to take Roshan as Newbee.Young. Well, they start picking it out now, but...
It's way too late.
Yeah,
There's
already
almost
down
no
to half HP.
The Queen of Pain, this is why you go for the Orchid, because the right-click damage is actually quite powerful independently, and like you said, the Bounty Hunter's so farmed.
Yeah, this allows later builds that are even more right-click oriented, such as the AC. There's the BKB and an Aegis now for CTY.
Even with the Bounty Hunter medallioning somebody, he has 24 armor when he's around. tanks up quite a bit.
I'm trying to find a pickoff maybe on the Leshrac, just get a track on him. Probably presuming that Newbee.Young are going to be real close, and that Blink Dagger is online for the Sand King.
CTY's got his completed BKB now, and with the Aegis, I'd imagine that they want to go pretty aggressive here, and with the bottom tower already pre-pushed, this should be a pretty free tier 2 for them.
At what point in time do Newbee.Young start contesting? Do you just wait out the Aegis?
No, you go to BKB on your Shadow Fiend, and you've almost got level 11 on Lee 2 on playing the Sand King. But now that he's completed the Blink Dagger, you can finally start worrying about the ultimate. But for now, there's no reason to fight before the BKB SF.
Right.
Because the initiations are doing a little bit too much. He can neutralize a lot of the Clockwork threat just by having that BKB. And I don't know if there's anything for the Clockwork yet. He actually went back for the Urn. So no Force Staff on him. So imagine, he hooks in, gets the cogs off, Blade Mails, but now he's stuck with the Shadow Fiend who's BKB'd and is ulting.
Which means he's got to probably change targets. When he sees that BKB, go for the Leshrac instead.
Yeah, I think so. Before it was so strong though, for you to be able to initiate on that Shadow Fiend pre-BKB. Yeah. But there's absolutely no reason for Newbee.Young to fight before that point.
Force Staff on the Tusk. Bottom lane, initiation Orchid, and just commits suicide with the Bloodstone. Knew that he was going to die to that.
Yeah, I think at that point, you just say, okay, in case there's another hero, there's no reason to give up net worth for free.
Right.
And SC at top, he's going to invis up, see if he finds any opportunities, but I think you just end the split push and maybe think about getting out.
Yeah, especially with the Bounty Hunter showing himself unlikely to catch him unawares.
Yeah, you would have to triple raise and get a few right clicks off.
Yeah.
And then Kaka would have to take his hands off the keyboard and not mech. I mean, he's hoping that he's still there and he's going to go for that 1 CS. It's a really smart play, actually.
Unfortunately, the Bounty Hunter is already rotated out of lane.
Yeah, that was really intelligent. For a second, I thought, why are you still invis? But he thinks that the Bounty Hunter might just go for 1 CS and he's going to wait for that. And he timed it. But this is going to slow down his BKB a little bit more.
What do you think of the Clockwork still not going for that Force Staff? Has the point booster instead? Is this just value point booster until later Aghanims? Because I would imagine the Force Staff would be a priority against some of these teams. Like, for example, you don't want to lock yourself in with the BKBs of the SF and eventually the Leshrac, but there's also the Tusk as well.
You can just go for the Leshrac, I think, with this build. And by giving yourself the point booster, you make it so that the Leshrac can't just outlast it and wait it out a little bit. And the Clockwork was actually really HP light.
Another 2 minutes on the clock here for EHOME to use that Aegis. I'm sure they're going to be pushing in middle now to take that tier 2. Don't want to be letting the Aegis go down for free.
And more importantly, you still know that SC doesn't have the BKB, and you're taking advantage of that more than the fact that you have the Aegis right now.
Oh, Dust actually spots out Kaka. They will not be initiating on him. Immediately, the Orchid goes on to lead, but he will be able to blink himself back out.
A lot of fake ultimates coming out from SC. He just wants to make sure that nobody gets over aggressive. The Viper is going to go for the Yasha. You can go for the Manta here, or the SNY. Maybe the Manta's better so they have high ground potential. They're just going to circle out. No reason to get over aggressive right now.
SC will finish up his BKB now with the farming time in top lane. It's now crunch time for EHOME. Going to push into that tier 1 tower, claim it as their own. Initiation, there goes 11, but they do have the Force Staff. Leshrac easily getting out, Burrow Strike onto the Bounty Hunter. Just a bit of damage, bouncing back. It looks like this tier 2 will fall without Newbee.Young contesting.
That engagement just kind of seemed like poking and prodding. Newbee.Young wanted to see if there was an opportunity to maybe just get a quick pick, but unable to do so. And they're doing a pretty good job right now, Cap, of keeping up when it comes to just not losing heroes left and right.
He's going to be going down here. Alanim is going to be able to get off the Winter's Curse, but just after the ultimate goes out, Old Chicken still wants to fight this one out, though. Now he's going to be caught by the Fiend's Grip. Immediately stopped, though, by the Orchid. Old Chicken trying to get himself ahead, but the lightning slows him down. But, oh, Jesus. There goes the Burrow Strike and the ultimate out from the Sand King, and they will be able to catch up to the Viper, but this did force CTY back in the process. He's going to pop his Invis and the regen as well. but I doubt he really has any sort of reinitiation with the Winter Wyvern Winter's curse down and the rest of his allies away.
I actually think the move is for CTY to circle around behind them. He's got the BKB still available, and in 10 seconds the clockwork is going to be up. They know there's no Sand King ultimate too, and the SF doesn't have BKB mech or his ultimate, so I think you actually just re-engage in a second here.
You get the Cold Embrace, trying to save the Bounty Hunter. CTY starts making his initiation. It looks like Sand King is going to be the first one going down for a hit. Now the hookshot comes in, lock it out too. Lee, he's going to try and get out of here, but he's going to be caught still by the Shadow Strike, and they're going to try and catch SC as well. They've got these 3 free kills, but if they can catch up to the SF as well, that's going to be a big one. The Shadow Strike lands, and SC is just not getting out of here. He doesn't even have the mana for the mech. It's just going to be slowed down, kited around, and they'll get that kill as well. An ultra kill for CTY as once again he starts building up that killing spree.
And we talked about it right before, is you don't have the BKB, you don't have the mech, no mana on your SF. There's no way that you can take that fight, and you have to understand that CTY, his Aegis is about to fade, he's going to have full everything. He didn't use the BKB in the previous fight. Yes, he used his ultimate to kill the Bane, but there's no way that the Bane's going to get there. So at worst, EHOME are taking a 4v4 fight where they have more abilities up.
And now we have a completed Assault Cuirass for the Queen of Pain. Full right-click build now for CTY, as he knows that old chicken is probably going to be fallen by the wayside. Even with that Manta being built, he just doesn't have high enough net worth, so it's necessary for our Queen of Pain to get some sustained physical damage.
Yeah, and I understand what Newbee were trying to go for there. They were trying to make it so that they have the numbers advantage. They were trying to posture a little bit and take a little bit more from the kills they got. But with the clockwork being such a low level, he just almost instantly respawned. And they were able to re-engage so quickly. And with that, he's almost got his Aghanim Scepter. And what that means for Newbee.Young is if you take a fight, you're not getting out. You pretty much have to commit to the full 5v5 when there's a Bounty Hunter with track and an Aghanim's clockwork in the game.
Aghanim's is almost complete. Just needs another 600 gold. Our Queen of Pain does have a significant net worth advantage over the SF. It's quite impressive, but it's still ultimately a Queen of Pain, not necessarily the hardest of carries in the world. EHOME do have a timer on them, correct?
I don't think so. You've still got a lot of different ways to scale, and the Winter's Curse makes it so that even your supports are a little bit stronger there.
Pick off on Lee, perhaps, the Orchid and the Shadow Strike. Keeping him slowed down, but now he has the Burrow Strike to get over the cliff. 11. He's hoping to be able to catch him with the hook shot. They're still going to chase him down. CTY pops the DT and will be able to get that kill.
Yeah, maybe if it goes to the 70-minute mark, Newbee.Young might start to take an advantage because the Queen of Pain's BKBs will start being a little bit lower, but I think CTY is almost just too farmed right now for them to deal with. Like, just looking at the net worth of him, he's not quite there yet, but he's pretty close to double the net worth of the next highest person. So he's accounting for 2 heroes in this game right now when it comes to farm. This is pretty unbelievable for farm for 27 minutes in the game.
Forest staff now for the Bounty Hunter, so we have that extra bit of mobility, perhaps to help the clockwork out, so, or maybe someone else is stuck. SC, hoping to be able to find some neutrals, but they've been claimed by EHOME. Really trying to limit that SF's farm for as long as possible and wait out the Roshan respawn.
The problem right now, though, for Newbee.Young is that nobody else from their team is really scaling ahead. The last we checked on the Leshrac, he had that Bloodstone completed at the 18-minute mark. I'm almost positive of this. And now he's got the Ogre Club since then, and 1,200 gold. So the BKB is going to come a full 12 minutes later than he expected. Maybe even more than that.
Now it's Roche taking time. Lanham will tank it up with a Cold Embrace. CTY, of course, with that AC has decent amount of physical damage. And then Kaka will come in with the Medallion. What do you think he didn't finish up the Solar Crest?
I think going for the Force Staff is more priority, just to make sure that if somebody gets Fiend's Grip, even if they are Fiend's Grip and you can't immediately cancel it, then you can at least get them out of position so the Sand King doesn't just have a free area to go for his ultimate on.
Yeah, and there very clearly is Newbee.Young have a very big priority in magic damage, and that will last for quite some time until the SF gets very big.
Exactly. That's perfectly assessed.
There's that BKB. Let's see if Newbee.Young can actually win themselves another team fight like they did last time.
This is going to be one of their better opportunities just because they've got a fresh BKB on their Leshrac. But if you're wondering if Newbee.Young, they're going to be able to come back, just look at the next round of items that are coming out for them. Like, there's almost nothing that's going to be too game-changing.
Right.
SC is going to have his Sanj and Yasha completed, but that's not something that just makes you quake with fear, right? It's only this BKB from this Leshrac that's the major pickup in the past 5 minutes, and they're going to have to fight around this, unfortunately.
So they're going to have to get a great initiation here from Lee as the Sand King epicenter, and perhaps they even have Ellie go in with the snowball and help the Leshrac out. They do get 11, but they have both the Cold Embrace as well as the Glimmer Cape, and now Jaja needs some help. They get the Cold Embrace as well as now the Winter's Curse laid on him. They're going to catch out Ellie. Their snowball brings into Leshrac. No, he misses him, and Leshrac falls. There goes most of the damage. Epicenter, Bro Strike on a 2. Good setup, but CTY, he's popped his BKB before him. They're still going to be able to get this kill, or maybe not. The Cold Embrace buying some more time. CTY is completely out of mana and will be needing a little bit of those bottle hits. Jumps back in, goes for Ellie. Will be able to get that kill. Turns on MR. He'll get that one as well. It's only SC left, but he has a
Tower is under attack.
fighting around till the end, and Newbee.Young have dropped a full 5 once again against Newbee.
You can see how far ahead EHOME are right there. In that fight, half their team had 200 HP. I don't know what old Chicken was doing. He had 200 health. He just continues to right-click away at the SF because he understands that CTY is about to revive. This is going to be a full 5-man team wipe. You might as well just sacrifice your life for that one. Almost certainly going to be Rax. At least the range one, I think.
Let's see, there's... Jaja is already back, starts coming forward. The Orchid is on to him. He needs some help. BKB activated, and they will be able to save that one. Bro Strike misses. They need to go on catch Lana. Or maybe they could get CTY that's even bigger. BKB almost up, but he gets the blink out just in time. And Burrow Strike, Sand King is not going to be able to catch up, so CTY does escape.
And this is pretty significant because he's not going to feed another one of those massive streaks that he just built up. Already at 4,800 gold. Can decide to go for the Hex if he wants. Blink Hex BKB is one of the strongest initiators in the game. He can just go for a little bit more damage too. The Viper now has that Manta completed and 3,100 gold on him. Everybody from EHOME right now just rolling in the dough.
Good ward there from the Bounty Hunter, but it was immediately spotted out as they already had a counter ward laid down. But fortunately, his other aggressive vision do stay up. You've got this nice one behind the tier 2 in the top lane, as well as the typical cliff ward at the bottom half. And Bounty Hunter, just shy of that dust, but they will be able to get a stun on 11. But he's got that Force Staff from the Bounty Hunter, giving them that extra bit of space to get out.
Yeah, and EHOME might think twice about just running in headlong first. You want to be a little bit careful. Don't allow Newbee.Young to have any opportunities to get back into this game. And as long as you play safe and smart, I mean, the Queen of Pain is a full Scotty completed. We're talking about major items from Newbee.Young. Any one of them would love to have something like that.
Lonham's actually got a Perseverance here. The Lincolns against the Fiend's Grip would be a nice pickup.
Yeah, especially when you've got the BKB on the Queen of Pain already. Or even the Lotus Orb.
Yeah, I was about to say, is there more value in the Lotus Orb, perhaps against like Snowball, that would help out?
Has been killed.
It'd make you a lot tankier.
Yeah.
I feel like going for the Lincolns is a little ambitious, but they're probably far enough ahead.
Oh no! Double Force Staffs, he'll get out of that tree situation.
Nothing big expended from CTY, as he still has his ultimate available in 5 seconds. Orchid's going to refresh up. I think the better move for them to make without the Aegis is probably to go for this free tier 2 at top and hope that Newbee.Young decide to go for an engagement, and if not, free tier 2.
If they don't choose to go for the engagement, do you try and push uphill, or do you wait out the next Roshan, which is going to be quite some time?
I would say in a best of 3, maybe you just decide to continue to go uphill because you have such a big enough lead. But I think in a best of 1 like this, why even bother risking it? Like, I wouldn't fault EHOME at all if they just decided to wait for the next Aegis cheese, but gotta be careful if you're Newbee.Young. I don't know if you want to take this fight outside your base just for a tier 2.
That hook shot would have been a prime opportunity for EHOME to force some action. But unfortunately, it does miss, and EHOME will just take the tier 2. We'll see what they go from here. They're going to make the cautious play and wait for Roshan, which is going to be up in 4 minutes. They're going to try and end this game nice and early.
They have so much momentum on their side right now, and 25k net worth. I mean, we didn't even really talk about that.
I'm so inclined to believe in the more cautious, passive play for EHOME, not only because it's the best of 1, but also because of the aggressive vision that they've set up. It seems like you're going to find more opportunities for a pickoff that may be able to open up the uphill push.
Hey, right now, they're perfectly fine doing what they're doing because nobody from Newbee.Young is taking anything on the map right now. They're pretty much just waiting for the lanes to push into them,
Yeah.
and that's the amount of farm that they're getting. So as long as you're just farming out the jungle in 1 or 2 lanes, you're getting ahead, and they might just run into each other right now.
Yeah, the smoke's gonna pop. They start popping some dust. Oh, no, miss out that first strike. Monum gets away. They pop the SF ultimate, but Old Chicken doesn't really care. He pops the BKB. Now the Winter's Curse on SC. This is just stalling up the rest of Newbee, while EHOME are gonna be able to come forward with CTY. They start slowing these heroes down with the Scotty. Jaja comes, managed to land that stun, but unfortunately SC is still gonna be run down by Old Chicken. 2 down, and they're gonna look to claim this set of racks. Range racks easily going down, and Old Chicken is actually hoping to be able to find even more heroes, but they turn now for the melee racks, and Newbee.Young, whoa, they jump in, 11, he's got that Aghanim Scepter, he's willing to use it. That said, Jaja does have the BKB, he turns around, he's gonna be able to kill the Clockwork, but still, CTY, the rest of them being controlled up by this Fiend's Grip and Sleep, but it's not enough, they're too damn tanky. Juz comes in, tries to blow up Old Chicken, CTY does manage to bounce back in time, and EHOME perhaps overly ambitious, diving into those tier 4 towers.
Still, they forced out so many buybacks, and they're just going to run away, reset the fight. Maybe you even wait for the Aegis just because you're a little bit afraid of the signs of life that Newbee.Young just showed. But the Aegis is always going to be the threat right now. And it's not even like they necessarily lost that fight. Like, they forced so many buybacks on the side of Newbee.Young that if Newbee.Young just decide to wait in their base, they lose that next fight, the game's over anyways. Maybe this is where you finally try to get aggressive outside your base. But we saw how that went. Like, CTY wasn't even in that last fight. Towards the end, he finally blinked in, was able to launch his ultimate, but that was mainly just the 4 of his teammates were able to hold him off by themselves.
Right.
And now it's a refresher for Lanham.
All right. Let's see the double Winter's Curse in action. That'll definitely buy a lot of holding time for CTY to lay out the damage. And all they have to do is really just kill the SF once.
Yeah,
And without that buyback, they'll pretty much win the game from there.
Something we should highlight too is that I think the Sand King stun was a good idea. They wanted to be able to pop the Winter Wyvern as fast as possible, but Lanham's reaction time was actually absurd. As soon as the smoke breaks, he just reaction time blinks it and barely dodges it in time.
And then he gets the Winter's Curse, holding the rest of Newbee.Young from being able to retreat fast enough. That's when CTY and the Viper come in. And there's just no getting away from that once you've got both the poison and the slow from Scotty on you.
Yeah, maybe they're able to take that fight if they can kill Lanham before he can get his Winter's Curse off. So really good heads up play by him.
Oh, SC. It's been spotted out, but EHOME not in a position to make an initiation. Unless 11's feeling really ballsy, and he is! He's going to be able to jump in, hook shot. That's not anything, though. Maybe he was just hoping to be able to force out a BKB.
So much gold on all of them right now, and a full BKB on Old Chicken. It's at 9 seconds. Doesn't even really need DPS items, just because of how farmed CTY is. He's got 5,100 gold. And the Roshan is about to spawn, and they're being pretty patient right now. Just farm out the jungle, continue to scale, go for the Roshan. EHOME is so patient, and Newbee.Young, they have to know what a disastrous situation this is, but you just simply can't give up.
Lotus Orb complete for the Bounty Hunter, but it's CTY with the full 6-slotted Queen of Pain coming in. He's about to have Daedalus, but Newbee.Young, they're going to be running in. Once again, the 5-man smoke, not a great position. The ultimate goes out, but it's really nothing now. The Winter's Curse gets laid up by Lanham. He's got a refresher ready to go, but Jaja comes forward with his BKB. CTY doesn't care. He's got magic immunity of his own. He's got the pure damage to threaten the last strike. Takes him out. Second Winter's Curse. Round 2, but still, the Sankey gets a decent initiation, but he can't even kill the supports. Lanham's going to survive. The SF goes down, and it's just cleaning house for EHOME as they are easily on the victory march here in this best of 1 against Newbee.Young. It's going to be a total wipe, and there it is, the GG. You knew that was Newbee.Young's last stand with that 5-man smoke, and not even picking up more than 1 kill. They'll go ahead and surrender against EHOME.
And unfortunately, Newbee.Young, they had a really good showing in the group stage, but this is where their journey ends. Whereas EHOME, in a dominant performance, are going to continue on.
And maybe this will build a little bit more confidence as EHOME move forward in the days of the tournaments. Perhaps they'll look a bit better and better as time goes on compared to that group stage performance. But they're out of the best of 1 section. They'll be moving on to the best of 3, and that is it. That's all of our matches here for day number 1 in Frankfurt.